Hello, everybody. Today, I wanted to impress upon you all two ideas in this video. The first of which being that it is okay for people to have differences of opinion in how to react to matters of death, grief, and loss. People will disagree on what is the right way to go about it. People will just inherently have different ways of dealing with these things and coping with these things that might offend other people. And it's perfectly okay to cry or not. It's perfectly okay to get angry or not. It's perfectly okay to be curious or not. Okay? Over the course of my channel's long tenure here on this platform, I have explored many aspects of death and loss and grief. I have visited many cemeteries, and I bring a sort of gallows humor with me when I do this. You can check my channel, look over the years, and I've done this plenty of times. Many spots where there were massacres, such as Ludlow or Sand Creek, you know, I have gone to these things and filmed them with the intent of satisfying my curiosity and sharing what I learned with others. And I think that that's completely within the spectrum of things that are okay to do when these issues arise. If you get curious and want to know about the circumstances of some death event that happened, I don't think that that's a bad thing. But it is also completely understandable that if you are curious, it might offend people who think that no, you should respect death and keep quiet about it and just let things be. I understand that. And I would hope that going forward, other people might understand that just people just deal with death differently. I myself go out and personally experience things with like a tactile response. I touch things around. I feel what is around me while I am filming. I get a sense of how this place makes me feel versus other YouTubers who talk about death all the time, such as Rob Dyke, who never physically themselves explore these places and share it with their YouTube audience. They just tell about these places and then have an animator that they've hired animate something that approximates what they're saying, you know? And so I feel like both of our approaches are okay. He might always tend towards telling macabre stories and always tends towards the greater serial killer stories that might be the greater clickbait, but I myself like to go out and explore things on a more personal level and share what I can learn on that more personal level. Now, the second thing I want to impress upon you guys with this video is that sometimes it really does take thick skin to be a YouTuber and put yourself out there with your unique perspective on things. And this example that I'm going to give you guys is probably the best example I've had in my long YouTube career. Okay, so a couple videos ago, I went out to explore the different scenes that other people had talked about in their videos but had never gone out to and actually looked at. The things that happened surrounding the skeptic feminist murder, where Russian Deadpool killed Ivy, right? And so I went to the courthouse where Russian Deadpool would be. I reported on, when his next hearing would be, which will be the preliminary hearing where we'll hear a lot of the details, and I hope to be able to get out to that one too. But I also went to some of the sites within the story, including the apartment where they were staying and other places within Clifton, Colorado, and Grand Junction, on the side of visiting family and whatnot. But also, I felt like in actually going out there, I was experiencing things that are sometimes beyond words. This is why we YouTubers pick this medium. Is, there are some things that are just feelings that get impressed upon you. One such feeling I had going through the neighborhood where Heather Annabelle died, and knowing that she probably was putting in motion plans to move away from that neighborhood and move more towards Denver where the jobs are. I just got this feeling of, man, this place is run down. She had such a bright future, and she wanted out of this, and I would want out of this. The sidewalks aren't even paved. There's no lawn. It's just dirt and rocks because it's such a dry place without irrigation. And this neighborhood just looks like trailers and prefab homes and just a bad place. And just a couple blocks away there are better places, but I just got this feeling of, wow, I don't blame her. She had a promising future, and she needed to get herself up out of there. And these are things that you're not going to understand without being there, like standing there in that street, looking at all the houses in that neighborhood. You're not going to understand what sort of socioeconomic place she was inhabiting when she had a mooch living off of her, pretending like he had a career that he was growing with, like martial arts, defense classes and whatnot. She was providing for that apartment. She was the backbone of it economically, and to be cramped in that small space and have other people that are basically living off the fruits of your labors, I understand that. This is something that I wouldn't be able to see just listening to people talk about things from afar, all the other YouTubers. I went there and experienced it, right? So I posted this video where I actually laid in the actual spot where I figure Heather Annabelle died. And I looked at what you could see from that to get an idea of, literally from her perspective, what was she seeing when she died, And in my comments section, a lot of people were with me on this, that this is something that should be done. But some people, either because they treat death as something that you should leave alone and just let matters lie. You're not a part of this. Don't insert yourself into it. For whatever reason, they don't like this. And so one of these comments was trying to impress upon me through some sort of Jonathan Swift, let the rich eat the poor type scenario. He was trying to impress upon me that what I had done was wrong by commenting and using something from my life, which was a death in my family, in order to, I guess, make a parallel, right? So here's his comment. This is Existence Void. Probably a sock account from some other larger YouTuber who couldn't muster up the balls to actually comment, themselves, because this might come back on their channel. But this videoless person commented saying, "Hey, Agent of Doubt, I want to create a perfect replica of a decomposing corpse. I was wondering if you had any photos of your sister a few hours after she died of lymphoma, where we can get a good, clear money shot of rigor mortis setting in as her skin was slowly decomposing." Let's see. and rotting away. What was the weather like outside as your sister's skin was decaying? Were there any noteworthy songs playing on the radio as your dead sister's skin and flesh was turning moldy? Imagine what her rotting cunt must have smelt like to the medics as they were prepping your dead sister for the funeral. Must have been a severely disgusting, foul-smelling odor emitting from her decaying cunt a few hours after she took her final breath from all that time of succumbing to cancer. Did the doctors have to wear pegs over their noses to combat the stench? I've been a YouTuber for a long time, and this does take the cake as far as like trolly comments that I have ever gotten, right? But my response to it was, I'm reading my response now. As appeals to emotion go, I have to give you credit for this well-researched, thought-out, and creative offering. I don't have any idea which side of what spectrum you might be speaking from the perspective of, but wherever you spend your lulz cred, I give you that faction's version of top keck for the day. Cheers. And I know that that's a bit detached from the way that some people might immediately have an emotional response to these things, but YouTube will make you a detachable person. You know, you will hear things from your commenters that will be so sick and depraved as they're trying to make their point. And they will try to include parts of your life in order to further their cause. And they will, if they see that you are trying to argue harder, they will argue harder back. So, in keeping with there being no real way to predict how somebody's going to react to themes of death and loss and grief, I'm just going to address this on its face and show how basically the Swiftian narrative that they're trying to create, that I should feel bad about Heather Annabelle and how I am trying to uncover facts and information about her death. I should feel bad about that the way that this is making me feel. I'm just going to like turn that on its head and say, no, let me answer your strange questions, and yeah, your point isn't really well made. So you want to make a perfect replica of a decomposing corpse. I'd say my friend Bill over at the guy who made my my zombie gnome for my zombie lawn gnome, Bill, he makes some really great decomposing corpses, and you don't really need much but money to get one. He says, I was wondering if you had any photos of your sister a few hours after she died. They do exist. They do exist. Minutes and hours and a couple days, because, wakes happen, and some people feel like taking pictures with corpses, and some people feel like that's completely inappropriate. The half that do feel like that's appropriate, they took pictures. The half that didn't, they're like, no, this is your last chance, and you don't take any more chances with you. And for the record, my stepmother was one of those people who got a picture of her dead daughter in order to, keep it around. For whatever memento she wanted for it. Can we get a good, clear money shot of rigor mortis setting in? You can get pictures of her lips being blue, and my other sister and my stepmother on the same hospital bed with her crying. As her skin was slowly decomposing and rotting away, I don't think that actually happened because, you know, uh, they fill bodies with embalming fluid. You know, they embalm them, so that I guess might never happen. It's a kind of unnatural thing. I know people that would rather be cremated and put into an urn and planted as a tree, like the bio urn thing. It's a little bit more natural, but I guess you know, everybody's got the way that they want to go. I think I want to be cremated and put into fireworks, personally, and then like exploded over something important to me. What was the weather like outside as your sister's skin was decaying? The weather was, you know, when the dew sets in the morning. I drove to the hospice care place, which was very close to my other sister's house that I'd spent the night at because I knew she was about to die. I drove there, and it was that thing where there's been no rain, but there's like a mist all over your windshield and whatnot, and yeah, I think it was actually just a very humid day in Wisconsin. It was actually a very cold, humid day. Were there any noteworthy songs playing on the radio as your dead sister's skin and flesh were turning moldy? No. Wasn't there for that part happening, but when she died, that hospice place has this thing where they make a little procession where they drape something over the body, and then they take the bed and they roll it around the entire walkway where all the other people that she might have interacted with can pay their respects, and they're singing Amazing Grace. And it's that hospice care place had nuns whose habits were made of like trippy psychedelic style cloth, you know, all sorts of colorful things instead of the black and white that normal nuns have. He also says, imagine what her rotting cunt must have smelt like to the medics as they were prepping your dead sister for the funeral. She did have a rash that comes when you have a lessened immune system. And that rash that was all over her skin in her final days made her look like the cartoon version of the Red Skull that Captain America fights. She was bald, of course, from chemotherapy, and so this cream that they had all over her to combat this rash had a smell to it that was sickly sweet, and it was something that, just thinking about it, does turn my nose. I don't have... Let's see. Must have been a severely disgusting foul-smelling odor emitting from her decaying cunt a few hours after she took her final breath from all that time of succumbing to cancer. Yeah. And it mostly was that bacteria that was all over her skin. If you can imagine a boiled hot dog, when you cut into it, the color that is the inside of a hot dog, that was the color of her skin. You know, and it was just as moist looking because it was covered in this cream that was meant to combat the bacteria, but it wasn't working very well. It's a worse smell, but sometimes you get from the old people smell when they have like Bengay on and stuff. It's a worse smell than that, but that's about as close as most of you will be able to come across in your head. Did the doctors have to wear pegs over their noses to combat the stench? Don't know. Wasn't there. So, yeah, everybody. It's okay to feel differently than others about death, grief, and loss. And also, don't let any comment like this keep you from doing what you like to do. If people disagree with what you do on YouTube, they might go to great lengths to try to offend you and scare you away from the things that are, to you, just naturally satisfying your curiosity and talking about the subjects that you like to discuss. Oh, and I did write a short story about my sister's death that actually doesn't have any of those details in it, and I don't think that they are important to the story. But on a later date, I will read my short story about my sister's death to you YouTubers who like to watch me. And I doubt that anyone who only follows me for drama will come across that video. It'll just be for those of you who regularly follow me and do like my little macabre bent that I go on every now and again.